Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakakdash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and the sincere Shalom to the Akim out here that's doing again, pushing this work in truth and in sincerity. I want to go on this video that Yahawashi did not exalt himself. Okay. And, I've just been meditating on this lately. The scriptures, and what's required of us in this faith is to, be humble, okay? The meek shall inherit the earth. When we look at, life, um, our lives are unique and specifically tailor-made to us, okay? Nobody can say that, you know, they know how life is, other than, from off of you, from our personal perspective. Can't nobody say that, they are us and that they can, they know how it is when we deal with, these situations. Somebody may have been through a certain situation, you know, but, they're not you, okay? And, if they were you, who's to say that they would have been able to even be able to handle, the things that you personally went through, okay? So, with that, mindset, it's a unique thing to be in this faith, knowing, that, our testimony, our personal testimony towards Yahweh Shem Yahawashi, is that he's real, okay? But at the same time, on the other side of, our lives being, unique onto us, okay, is we don't know how, you know, other people experience us, okay? Um, we don't know what type of impact that we may be having on another person, okay? Um, when you pass away, your life is, the scriptures talk about it's like a vapor, okay? And I'll get that, okay? You're like a worm, okay? And, by our life being, unique and tailor-made, specifically for us that's in this faith, we understand that, everything happens because, it's what, ultimately what the Lord wants, okay? Um, this is James 4:14, right? And it says, uh, I start at 13. It says, "Go to now, ye that say to today or tomorrow we will go into such a city, and continue there a year, and buy and sell, and get gain." It says, "Whereas you know what, not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time, then vanishes away." Okay? For this you ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. Okay? Now, let's get this. Okay, no, that's not it. This is the, um, I just had it earlier. Um, where is it? I got it on ChatGPT. Proverbs 27. There we go. Proverbs 27 and 1, right? It says, "Boast not yourself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring." Okay? It says, "Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips." Okay? And we got ChatGPT to, help us break this down. Okay. This is Proverbs 27:2, right? It says, let another man praise you. It says, this is about reputation over self promotion. In biblical wisdom, honor isn't something you claim, it's something that is recognized by others. If your works are righteous, consistent, and true, people will testify about you without you needing to advertise yourself. Okay? It says it reflects a kingdom principle. True value speaks for itself. Character doesn't need a marketing campaign. Fruit reveals the tree. Okay, you should know a tree by its fruit. Okay, and we shouldn't, really worry about, you know, um, how other people, may view us. Okay, now that's not up to us to change, people perception. Because some people gonna think and they gonna want to do however they want to do. Okay, and there's nothing that we can personally do, in certain situations. If a person don't like us or they just can't stand us, you know, we don't need to try to kiss their ass or butter up, to them. Okay, um, trying to trim our ways to try to seek some type of love, trying to take this person out, trying to get them to love us and care for us and all that stuff. See, if they care for you, then there's nothing that you could do, okay, to change that, okay? The, being, I say, I say that word beloved, okay? Inside of the word beloved is be loved, right? You got a lot of people out here that's trying to do things to be loved, okay? But being the beloved, okay, is something that's, unconditional, something that you know, can't, change somebody's viewpoint on, okay? Let's get that word beloved, okay? It says dearly loved, okay? A much loved person, okay? And we want to be much, much loved when it comes down to Yahawashi, okay? Um, so, you know, our value, if we do what's inside of these scriptures, we keep this word, we continue to be humble, okay? Then the Lord will honor us, is of his elect, okay? And that's something he will glorify us, okay? That's something that, you know, you trying to seek your own glory is not glory. That's what the scriptures say. Okay? Um, Let me get that. This is Proverbs 25 or 27. It says, it is not good to eat much honey. So for men to search their own glory is not glory. Okay? So trying to glorify yourself is not glory. Okay? The glory that comes along with being in his faith, a long life, the blessings that Yahweh Shah, okay, is going to give the elect. Okay, it's not something of their self. Okay? It's not something, like you got a lot of these Christians who got the mindset, yeah, I'm already saved. But then it's like, where are your blessings at? If you saved, then your life would be, you wouldn't have to worry about anything. Okay? So you're not really saved. Okay? You still got hell that you gotta go through. Okay? So it says this addresses it says, and not your own mouth. This addresses pride and self-exaltation. Okay, when someone constantly praises themselves, it usually reveals insecurity, pride, a need for validation. Okay. Scripture repeatedly warns about self exaltation. Okay. Pride goes before destruction, and that's a sign. You see somebody that's saying, I'm this and I'm that, you don't really think that you that guy. You know, you really insecure, really deep down inside. Now, how do you, how can you say that somebody is that person. You know, the records will show it. Okay, you can't just hop in the ring and just say, I'm the greatest of all times, and your record don't show. You know, now some people, they make that argument about whether Floyd, the greatest of all time. His record, shows there's other people who have a great record just like him. You know, he beat a lot of, guys. Um, However, some people might argue that some people was on the the latter end of their career. He beat some people in their prime, and he escaped people and all this, that, or whatever. You know, but at the end of the day, um, his record, okay, speaks for itself, and that's what I'm talking about. Okay, if you are, that guy, okay, your record will speak for itself. Okay, you will be undefeated. Okay. Now, do we have that mindset? Um, we took losses in this faith. We took losses in the world. Okay. Uh, we aren't, in that king stead yet. Okay. We don't have the ability to say that we don't have the ability to say that we aren't going to lose anything. You know, heck, we still in the process of sacrificing ourselves. You know, so how can you say that you that guy and you got to deal with this the battle ahead? And now, if you come out of it unscathed and you are of the elect, then yeah, you can say that you that guy. You have all the bragging rights in the world, but right here, right now, while we in Babylon, we don't have that. Okay, we still, say that we have the hopeful elect. Okay, because we don't know whether we have the elect. Okay, so you can say that we are insecure. Okay, on that, we supposed to be secure and have faith and everything like that. And I remember, personally, because I get back into it. I remember personally, I was fighting that for a while, you know. But the spirit, came to me in my sleep, because I was feeling like I wasn't, worth, you know, like damn, like I'm a sinner, I messed up, and you know, like I was like grieving in my mind, you know, beating myself up and everything like that all the time, you know. And a lot of that comes with anxiety and the stuff that comes out, you know. Um, but the spirit came to me in my sleep, right? And it said that you are worthy, you know? And since that, because I've always said, since coming to the truth, I haven't been depressed because I was depressed when I came into the truth, you know. I came into the truth, I came into the faith, haven't been depressed, but then I ended up fighting that, you know, dang, am I worthy thing, and then the spirit came to me and it said that you are worthy, you know, and that was like I'm talking about like a good year or two of me battling that, you know, and it just was like once that came, it's like that grief just went over my head. I don't fight that anymore. Now I still hope and pray that I'm a man of the Lord. I still hope and pray that I'm of the elect, you know. But that validation came, and that wasn't because I woke up and just said, I'm violent, man, I'm that guy, you know. The spirit had to comfort me on that. Okay. Um it says um pride goes before destruction, right? In the biblical worldview, lifting yourself up often leads to being brought low. A stranger and not your own lips. Okay, this part deepens the message. A stranger has no obligation to flatter you. If even someone who doesn't know you speaks well of you, that means your conduct is genuinely visible. Okay, it's basically saying let your integrity be so real that even outsiders acknowledge it. Don't build your own image. Live in a way that builds it naturally. Okay, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, always meditating on the scriptures. and applying the scriptures on how we can be better men for ourselves, for Yahawashi Yahawashi. Okay, it says that's what it is, spiritual application. Okay, this verse teaches move in silence. Let your word speak. Don't chase validation. Let Yahawashi Yahawashi elevate you. Okay, it connects with what we see in the Gospel of Luke 14 and 11. For whosoever exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted. Okay, it says in modern terms, right? Don't brag about being loyal. Just be loyal. Don't say you're chosen. Live chosen. Okay, don't argue about your value. Demonstrate it. Okay, when you have to constantly tell people who you are, it weakens the testimony. Okay, but when others say it for you, that's authority. Okay, that's what you want. You want. Okay, don't put yourself on some type of level, that you might not even be ready for. Okay, and I said, let's speak about how Yahweh Shah didn't praise himself, but the Father honored them. Okay, and it says Yahweh Shah did not glorify himself. Throughout the Gospels, the Messiah consistently refused self exaltation and pointed all glory back to the Father. Okay? He didn't seek his own glory. In the Gospel of John 8 and 54, he says, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honors me. Okay? That directly mirrors Proverbs 27 and 2. Okay? He understood self praise is empty. True honor must come from the Father. Okay? It says again in John 5 and 41, I receive not honor from men. He wasn't building a reputation campaign. He wasn't trying to impress the crowd. His authority came from obedience, not applause. Okay? It says the Father publicly honored him at his baptism. This Matthew 3 and 17. Right? It said, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. Okay? And again, at the transfiguration, Matthew 17 and 5, the Father speaks from heaven, confirming him. Okay? Notice the pattern. The Son stays humble. The Father gives the testimony. Okay? And Yahweh Shai didn't write of himself. Okay? Other men, wrote of him, and you know, they was eyewitnesses, the majesty and how awesome of an Israelite he was. How awesome this is the Son of God he was. You know, he done works that no other man was able to do. Okay, and it was like you had to be sent from, Yahweh, to be doing these things, healing people, and you know, uh, controlling nature. You know, like come on now, conquering death. They seen him die. Okay, they seen him get put up on a cross, and then to see him come back alive again, it's like, yo, we like that's unheard of. Okay, it says, even in power, he stayed submitted. Okay, John 17 and 18. He that speaks of himself seeks his own glory, but he that seeks his glory that sent him, the same is true. Okay, he's teaching the same wisdom Solomon wrote centuries earlier, because guess what? He is King Solomon. Okay, reincarnated. Okay, he never said, look how great I am. Praise me for these miracles. I'm doing this on my own authority. Okay, instead, he said, the Father that dwells in me, he does the works. Okay, John 14 and 10. And the Lord, the scriptures say, he'll put his word into our mouth. Okay, um, uh, our thoughts are not, our own. When we really boil it down, you know, everything that we do, think of, it all comes, from what the Lord wants us to do. You know, we're tailor made to be, worshipers and, vessels for Yahawashi. Our spirit comes from him. We didn't get this spirit on our own. We didn't just wake up and just say, I'm going to be an Israelite today. Okay. So it says, the pattern of exaltation. Because he humbled himself, the Father exalted him. Okay. As written in Philippians 2:8-9, he humbled himself, wherefore God also have highly exalted him. Okay, humility, then obedience, then exaltation. Okay, it don't work the other way around. Okay, you don't exalt yourself and then end up going through some stuff and then you be obedient now and now you got to humble yourself. No, it don't work the other way around. Okay, it says Yahweh showed that authority comes from submission, honor comes from obedience, glory comes from the Father, not self-promotion. He let his works testify. He let the Father speak. He stayed in alignment. That's the blueprint. Okay, that's what we supposed to do. Follow at the example of Yahweh Shah. Okay, he's the author and the finisher of our faith. And if we continue to push forward toward that mark, you know, where get that blessing, Lord willing, we get that honor. Excuse me, we get that glory. That comes along with being a man of the Lord or a woman of the Lord. Okay, so with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to say shalom till next time.